Good day, everyone. I was working on a different video today. This is the graphic that is going to be part of that video, a little hint that I'm giving to you guys here. When a friend sent me a breaking story. 10 dead, 15 injured after stabbing spree in Canada. 2 suspects at large. This happened in Saskatchewan, a province of Canada. Right off the bat, you'll notice that 10 is the fourth triangular number, so 3 plus 4 is 7. You'll see why that's important later. 4 is also considered to be an unlucky number in Eastern cultures, also sometimes associated with death. So if you use a gematria calculator and type in kill into it, you'll notice that it equals 44. And when using rules of numerology, reducing down to 8, it gives you the infinity symbol or the hourglass, which I will get into more detail about later on in this video. This apparent event happened in 13 separate locations all around James Smith Cree Nation, home to a large indigenous community and the tiny village of Weldon, northeast of Saskatchewan, the RCMP said. I was more fixated on the name James Smith Cree Nation as opposed to Weldon. So if anyone has any interesting connections that they found after watching this video, please comment below so we can get together, maybe find out some more information. So thinking about Indigenous, First Nations, I was thinking about genocide because I know that genocide equals 44. With the actual concept of genocide being coined in 1944 by Raphael Lemkin, and is a very deep and complex topic which I'm not here to talk about today unless it's in regard to the ritualistic nature of this event. If you reference pi for the string 1944, you'll notice that it occurs in position 21,766. When adding all those numbers together, you get 4. Leading us back to the occult principles of number 10, the fourth triangular number. They are using Kabbalah. Let's talk about it. The fourth letter in the Hebrew alphabet is called Dalet, which means door. If you haven't noticed, it looks like a 7, which is why 7 is important. It is said to be God's number. And who is the god of doorways and archways? Janus. Looking at the Canadian flag, it is a clear symbol of Janus with the 2 red stripes on left and right side representing the past and future, and the Canadian maple leaf in the middle representing the pineal gland. Being the deity of transition and beginnings, Janus played a vital function in the Roman pantheon. For starters, the Romans called upon him at the start of every religious ritual. This is evident by one of his titles, Devon Deus, which means the god of gods, and they would make sacrifices to Janus before starting their religious rituals. These people are practicing Kabbalah, while hiding esoteric knowledge and teachings from the masses for their own selfish gains. They manufacture events to get a reaction out of the collective to manipulate and steer us in a certain direction that they want us to go in. They want to control what you think, how you think, not to question the narrative, and pretend that all of this is just a coincidence. Speaking of coincidences, Canada equals 15 in full reduction gematria, which has an occult triangular number of 5, and the number 5 said to represent the number of change, representing the pentagram, the physical realm, and our 5 senses, and Venus, which you will see why is important later. Pentagrams have also been considered to be portals. Some other names for portals are gate, doorway, door, entrance, gateway, opening, entryway, entry, and archway. And who is the god of all of those things? Janus. If you look at the bottom of this display displayed by the Vatican, you'll see the 17, and nothing is by coincidence. Because in the 17th century, penta alpha was the term for the pentagram, with Janus being the janitor or key holder. Now, getting back to the stabbing, if you watch my last video, you would understand the importance of number 11. If you haven't, you'll figure it out soon. This event happened on a date with 56 numerology, which can also be written 1-5, going back to the single reduction of Canada in Gematria. And the 11, which is said to be the first master number. If you plug Janus into the Gematria calculator in English ordinal, you'll notice that it equals 65, using the rules of numerology equals 11. So why do I think this is a ritual to Janus to kick off some sort of bigger ritual season? Let me show you. The news story says that this event started just before 6 a.m. So if we look at a planetary invocation chart, you can see that on Monday at 5 a.m. the sun was the strongest, transitioning to Venus. And who is the god of transitions? And did you know that in the Sumerian religion, Venus was represented by Inanna, which also has another connection to Janus, from Sumeria, and is actually the female name of Ionis, or Ian. And another name for Ian is John, and this is where it got really interesting for me. So I went searching to see if James was another name for John, which it kind of is, but isn't. But I found this. In Mark 3:17, again with the 17, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of James. And then I started thinking about the heliocentric cults and the various numbers associated with their planetary bodies. But it is a very deep and complex subject to get into for this short decode, so I'm going to keep it simple. Most all religions in the world worship the sun and the moon, so it doesn't come as a surprise that all these 3-4 names that I've listed here reduce down to 11 and 7. Very quickly, the number 7 is said to be the perfect number, God's number, the world being created in 7 days. Going back to this event, we can see that it took place between 5, 6, and 7 a.m. in the morning of Monday, September 5th. Looking at the planet invocation chart, you can see that between the hours of 5, 6, and 7 on Monday, the time of this event happening, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury's energies were most prominent. Looking at the gematria of Venus, you'll notice some similarities of the past and some that I'm about to talk about. The 18th prime number is 61, which when reducing comes back to the number 7, which goes back to the heliocentric model, which is filled with these occult numbers hidden in plain sight. There's even something called Janus cosmology, and this is the diagram. Apparently this event was carried out by 2 people, brothers, going back to James and John, and the two-faced duality symbolism representing Janus. Going back to the news article, these 2 people are named Damien, 31, and Miles Sanderson, brothers. Their ages adding to 61, which is going back to what I just talked about, Venus, the 18th prime number. It is said that they were driving a Nissan Rogue SUV. If you type in Nissan Rogue into a gematria calculator, you'll notice the 61 going back to Venus, the 7, and the 11. Or maybe it's just a coincidence that the license plate MPI sums down to 11 and 7. They use these events to try to control your mind, your actions, your emotions, your thought. This event may not even be real. It might be a program. We are being programmed through the spider web. but it's a very complex situation and topic, and it has a lot of facets to it. So it might take a bit of time to kind of explain everything. Most of what we are taught in public schools is a lie, and then we come home and watch the television program go on about more half truths. Now I'm going to read you a famous quote. It states that all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. William Shakespeare with another 7 connection. So what about the brothers? Let's start with Damian Sanderson. His gematria should show you guys that there is no such thing as coincidence. So looking up his name, Damien, I got Daemon, which goes back to demon, which then goes back to Venus, Lucifer, Phosphorus, 61. Let's look at Miles now. Interesting gematria of his first and last name. Let's talk about the chaos cycle and what they're trying to achieve with this event. In numerology, it is said that the only numbers in existence are 1 through 9, 0 comprising of the cycle, the number wheel, the chaos cycle. We've been dealing with a 19 recently as well, but I can't really get into that right now. I wonder if this is the ending of the cycle. This event would serve as a signal to those within the know that things are about to transition. Another interesting thing to note is that the 7-year sabbatical cycle, or the Shmita, was supposed to happen in 2015, and it didn't because it was extended longer to make way for the 19 cycle, the chaos cycle. Going back to the news article now, armed with screenshots and the knowledge of Gematria Kabbalah, you can understand why certain numbers are repeated constantly within the news cycle and why this event specifically happened on a moon day. Monday is actually named after the moon, and you can clearly see the numerical connections to the heliocentric model. These people practice ancient forms of science and mysticism, such as alchemy. Alchemy is actually most famous for turning lead into gold, and if you look at the atomic number of lead being 82 and the atomic number of gold being 79, if you add them together, you get 161. Being that gold and silver are highly valued to the alchemist, it should be of no surprise that these gematria values equal what they do and their connection to the sun, moon, and Janus. You might be asking, who are these people? Why would they do this? What is their goal? And I will lay it out through a series of videos that I'm working on that connect everything together. So in conclusion, I do think that this was a ritual, an ending transitional ritual to serve as a signal that the Shmita year is coming to an end and that the economic downturn is about to get worse due to the chaos cycle that we just endured for the past 3 years. That is basically what this decode is telling me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more. I have lots of content coming for you guys. Cheers.